Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Time with the Lord. I am your lovely guest, Mwangaza Milunga, and today we have a very, very special guest. Introduce yourself.
Thank you for having me. My name is Rachel Nab Bintu. Rachel Nab is my socials. And yeah, I'm happy to be here.
So, we're starting a new segment, a new topic, I guess, and we're going to be focusing on grace. We're going to be focusing on grace for the afflicted. And we're going to look at a biblical perspective of mental health. I know this is a very tricky topic
Very
to talk
tricky.
about, especially when you coincided with the church and religion and family. And so it's difficult. And I guess, firstly, I want you to be free and open, be very vulnerable with us. And I think that's the importance of these conversations, that it allows people to feel seen, feel heard, feel validated, and to feel that they're not alone. And maybe we can offer some sort of assistance, help, maybe through your journey, my journey, that they can feel, okay, I can do this, I can do that. I feel like this and it's not wrong. Anyways, I don't want to get too too
Get
far
too
into it.
excited.
So we're gonna be talking about healing, trauma, balancing your mental health and your faith, building a relationship with your parents. Today we're gonna mainly focus on family dynamics, your parents, you, and God. Mental health is like the string that attaches all those things together.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, I guess first we're gonna talk about
I'm so
your.
excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited, and I'm just trying to contain emotions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because obviously this is a very personal topic and it's a very vulnerable topic to put yourself out there and talk about things like this. So I guess we're gonna dive right into it. Firstly, I guess I'll ask for you to share with us where you were born, your family dynamics.
Yeah, sure. First of all, I am very excited to sit down here with you and have these conversations. This is something that I've always wanted to talk about because I believe mental health is the center of everything. That you cannot be spiritually, physically, emotionally okay if your mental health is not where it's supposed to be. So I'm
Absolutely,
really
yeah.
happy and glad you came up with that topic.
Your family dynamic, mom and dad, sisters, siblings, were you all living in one roof? How was that?
Yeah. I was very lucky. Mom and dad were living we're all living together till today. Mom and dad are still together. I came from a family of 8. I'm the firstborn
Oh,
of 7
okay.
siblings.
We'll definitely dive into that a
So,
little bit a little bit later.
We're lucky enough. Mom and dad were together. Grew up in a very spiritual family dynamic. So yeah.
Okay, so I was gonna ask you,
Yeah.
were your parents ministers? Were you raised in a church?
Well, it was kind of a mixture. Well, at the beginning, they were all from Roman Catholics.
Okay.
So, and then I think after 2 or 3 years into the marriage, they changed, came to the Pentecostal side of things. Mom she's a prayer warrior. Dad was not a pastor. I'm not a pastor's kid. But that was just a normal
Normal guy.
normal guy. Well, he used to sing and play bass guitar for some time, but then I guess he just got too busy with the whole ministry. But when it comes to prayers and other things, it was very much involved. But he was not a pastor. Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting, and I guess some people might be wondering, like, oh, what does this have to do with mental health?
Yeah.
I definitely think family is as much as mental health as a center. I think surrounds that is your family, because those are the closest contact to you.
Exactly.
And I always say that somebody might say something to you, it might not mean nothing, but if it comes from the people that you love and you care about,
Oh, yeah, that's
it touches a different part of your
does.
heart.
It
How did you guys ever even think about mental health? Was that even a topic? Were you aware of mental health? Was it something that you encountered? How was that? How was that in your household or where you were born?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Coming from where I come from, I don't think we have the overall idea of what mental health is really. I think parents used to, I don't know about now, used to focus more on you've got food, you've got clothes, you're going to school, and to them that was enough. Like I don't think they really knew what mental health was in terms of how you're doing mentally. To them, it was more of you're getting whatever I can give you. That should be enough or must be enough. Yeah, but on the other side of things, I don't think so. I really don't think
See,
so.
I feel like that's one of the things that I guess I've seen a lot as well.
Yeah.
When it comes to ethnic parents, or when they exclude like well-being, being if you have a home, you have a family, and you have a mom and
You
dad,
can't complain.
you have food on your table. That's it. You should not be worried about anything else. But the thing with mental health is you don't choose how you feel.
You don't.
You literally have no part
You
in
don't.
what you feel. I mean, you have a part in how you deal with it, but if you feel a certain way, it's outside of your control. You can have a shelter, you can have a loving family, you can have food on your table, and you can still be battling a lot of mental health issues.
You could, and I think it will come down to ignorance first of all. Not to say I'm blaming them for not knowing what mental health is. I just think they had no idea. They were raised like that. They could only give me what they had. They were given. Sorry to use that word. So it also comes down to ignorance, or the whole dynamic or the whole setting of you have to be strong, you have to stand, you have to do something. You can't do this, you can't do that. So it's just them passing on
What they know.
what they also knew. So ignorance had a big role to play.
I understand that, but for me,
Yeah.
it's also like, can that ignorance still be applied to our parents now? The ones who know what mental health is, the ones who are aware that these things, can we still say, okay, they do what they do because they're ignorant to it? So does that mean we're not holding them accountable?
For those who know now, I would say it's I'm trying to find the word. It's just being selfish. I use the word selfishness because if you've been in that position before and you know how it feels, for you to just say I'm choosing to ignore this, like no one is entitled to have these feelings, like you just can't have these feelings at all. And I just feel like it's just not fair to yourself, fair to the people around you. You're just choosing to to bury these feelings that are the center of our lives.
So going back to your family and your parents, I mean, this, I guess, might be a little bit more personal. And I guess I just want you to kind of almost dive into your past and look back. Did you ever feel like, knowing that, okay, your parents are both ministers, and did you ever go through something and you kind of thought, okay, this is a very traumatic event, and I can pray about this, but you need somebody to talk to, but you didn't have that. Did you have that in your household? How did you navigate those kind of situations, knowing that, okay, you still believe in God, but praying about it didn't just make it go away?
Yeah, of course I've been through a few situations like that, and coming from a setting where you can't even have these conversations. First of all, like for them to ask me to pray about it, I need to be able to have these conversations with them. It was more of, I've got me, like this is how I'm feeling right now. I need to make sure I find ways to get out of this. So it took me to a space where I created this pattern in my brain whereby when I feel these things, I know it has to take me where I'm supposed to be. So there was not much conversations about these things for me to actually say, for them to actually advise me to pray about these things. Obviously, coming from a spiritual family dynamic, you do pray. But then when it comes to mental, let's say depression, anxiety and stuff, growing up, I didn't know how to deal with those situations. I really didn't know. And I think looking back, it took me to where I created this other person that I had to switch personality for me to be able to survive. Yeah. So I don't think I really knew how to deal with those situations. As much as I prayed, I also didn't know how to look after my mental health.
So I guess in this now world and society where people tell you, okay, you're a Christian, just pray it away. What do you feel like? What does that feel? Because for me, if I was going through something and I know that I believe in God and I know that I have a good relationship with God, and somebody tells me to pray, it kind of disputes the whole fact that I'm already praying. What do I do now? How do you deal with that?
Now that I understand the whole situation, I like to call myself a mental health activist.
Absolutely.
Those who follow me on my social, I'm very, very on when it comes to mental health situations. So I believe being a human being, it's just a whole package. It takes your physical, your spiritual, your emotional, and your mental as well. You can't just live with one and just forget about the rest of it. So, and the two main points on when it comes to every human being, I strongly believe it comes to your spiritual health as well as your mental health. Mental health to me is just like any other sicknesses. Like if you were to seek medical attention because you broke your foot or you've got a fracture, it's the same. It's the same. As much as we're praying about you, we're also seeking medical attention. That's how I feel about mental health. I can be praying about this, but I need help up here. So they go hand in hand. So you can't just say pray about it and forget about the rest. So it does need help as well. And it's very important. As I said in the beginning, when you're mental, even biologically, your brain is the center of everything. So I can pray, I can be fit, I can do everything. But if my mental is not right, then I need help. I do. So as much as we pray about it, I still believe we can seek mental help if we need to. Yeah.
So now I'm going to ask you a bit of almost a controversial question, topic, I don't know.
Okay.
So the Bible tells us in the book of John chapter 10 that the Lord knows his sheep, and his sheep know him, and they hear his voice, and they're able to recognize that. And the Lord, as a shepherd, he uses his staff and his rod to redirect the sheep. But this scripture usually is justified when parents beat their kids. And I have my own personal view of what that is.
Yeah.
But do you feel like that contributes to a person's mental health? Beating your kids, does that contribute to a person? And can that be justified in the sense of the Lord tells you a shepherd is to use his staff and his rod?
Yeah.
When I say it, I feel like they use more rod than staff.
Yeah.
Because there's no point in beating someone who doesn't understand why you're beating them.
That's very true. Before I answer that, I'd like to just acknowledge the confusion. Our parents are, allow me to use the word, very confused. Because when you're trying to apply anything that comes from the Bible to what you want to do on the other side, you have to really understand what the context and then what really that verse means. They're talking about sheep. Have you been to the farm before? Have you been to a farm before? What the shepherd do is when he's trying to get his sheep anywhere he wants, he uses that road to keep them to the line. These are sheep. We're talking about animals here. So for you to apply that verse in your life right now, be us being human being, it just can't, it's two different things. It's just an example of saying you're the parent, you're the shepherd, you're there to direct, guide, instruct. You don't have to use a rod because they use a rod for sheep. You can use something else. This is where conversation come through. This is where communication come through. I strongly agree with you. The rodding thing plays a lot in on our mental health, in the sense of you might think you're helping or you're guiding, you're instructing someone, but then at the same time you're creating this rigid personality on this person where they will just be numb on everything because that's what they do. Every time I do something wrong, I get beaten. Even when they grow up, because obviously you won't be there to beat them up, they create that strong personality where pain is nothing because I'm just used to this. There's no sympathy. There's no. It's just a complete different human being.
And you kind of have to remove yourself to be able to deal with that.
Exactly.
You take away your humanity almost.
Yeah, because you're so used to being beaten and it comes with pain and everything else. So imagine me being beaten, reaching at 30. I'm not taking this whole, my parent is not here to, use the rod on me, but I have to take myself out of that pain situation. So it makes me create that
personality,
strong, no sympathy, no passion, nothing. And just imagine me being a parent. What am I doing to my kids? Like, I'm just there. What happened to emotions?
I always, honestly, for me, when it comes to beating your children, I don't doubt. I mean, you can never tell someone how to raise their own kids. But I always see that beating your kids brings a level of anger in them that it suppresses them. And that slowly chips away on how somebody can relate to your emotions.
It does.
And now you're co-living people that they can't relate to you on an emotional level because being emotional to them is being vulnerable. It allows them to be open, but being open means you can get hurt, right?
Yeah. But also in that same setting, when a parent beats their kids, obviously they're not beating you back. So you're creating that thing in their mind whereby if you get aggressed or if anyone comes and beat you, this is what you should be doing. Sit down and do nothing. So you create this setting where kids will not be able to defend themselves. They'll just feel like, well, when you do something wrong, this is what you do. You create kids that will be beating others for doing the wrong thing instead of correcting or guiding or instructing. It's a whole
dynamic of things.
Yeah.
And honestly, obviously, my background academically is a lot of psychology and working community, and I always see that beating your kids is almost the only way you can have control over somebody. And I always think, if they're children, they can't have any more control. They're the only people that you're responsible for as a parent. That's the only people you have control over, because you don't go beat around other adults.
You don't. You
And
really don't.
because you know they'll fight back.
Yeah.
But thinking about it in a way that you're beating them because they know they're defenseless is crazy to me. So thank you so much for tuning in. This again is Time with the Lord, a space where we speak about things, we go deep and we dive into things that will strengthen and advance the kingdom of God. Again, thank you, Darashel, our guest, a lovely guest.
Thanks for
Rachel
having
Nab, you
me.
can find her on Instagram, social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, and we'll see you again on another segment of Time with the Lord.
Thank you.